Hey, everybody, it's Christian Buckley doing another MVP Buzz Chat, and I'm talking today with Ruchi. Hello.
Hi, Christian. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for
Well,
having me
it's
here.
it's probably is it already dark there? It's like it's my midday, so it's late in the day
Yeah,
for you in Oslo.
yeah. Like just to give an introduction, so I am based out of Oslo, that is Norway. Yeah, it is quite. This is the winter time that is going on here, so it is really dark. I think we can't blame it because it is almost a little bit of daylight from 10 o'clock until 2, 3, and then it eventually
Is that
becomes
it?
fully dark. Yeah,
That's it? Like 4 or 5
4,
hours?
5 hours. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That will be
It's
until.
look. I lived in Seattle for a few years, and it's. I mean, people don't understand. Like the United States is kind of skewed this way. So Seattle is actually like aligned with, more Nordic than
Yeah.
Central
Yeah.
Europe. But well,
Yeah.
the rest of that, like the who are you, where are you, what do you do? We know where you are,
Yeah.
but tell us the rest about yourself.
Yeah. So just to give a short introduction about myself, I'm basically from India. I moved to Norway around 3 years ago. It was just that after my current husband, current and permanent, of course, husband, he lived in Norway for almost 5 years. So then after getting married to him, I just moved here. Then I started working as an integration consultant in a company called Avella. So it is a really old firm. There are a bunch of people who have the experience of more than 25 years, and the company was established in 2007. So that is a firm that we specialize in integration. So then I joined it, and I have been using Microsoft applications since 2018 when I started my PhD in electronics and communication engineering. But back then, the tools were more related to doing the documentation. For example, I used to use more often MS at 365, and then
Mhm.
moving towards more note taking apps. Then eventually, I had my topic that was related to detection of epileptic seizure using wireless sensor networks and IoT. And during that time, I was more exposed to the deep learning and machine learning
Mhm.
applications. So that is when I exposed. When I joined here, we basically specialized in IBM and web method software AG tools. And then from last 2 years, we are starting to expanding the horizon from instead of from IBM and web method software AG to Microsoft Azure. And that is when again I got the opportunity to reconnect. I had a dream while I was doing my PhD that if I get an opportunity to become an MVP, but back there it was more that I was utilizing the tools, but I was not able to give much to the community.
Mm.
And then it was mostly okay, I was working with other tools, didn't get the opportunity. But from last 2 years, then I was back. It was really nice to have this experience. And one noticeable difference that I saw, back then the documentation or everything related to Microsoft was not very easy, but I
Yes.
think now it has
Yeah.
drastically improved. It
It
feels like,
has.
okay, this is so easy to understand. It was not back when I used to use when I used to use the similar tools.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
I
that.
I always have to say that's like I know that Microsoft has hired a lot of MVPs. That's always been the case, but it seems like over the last 5, 6 years, there's been many, many more MVPs that have gone over become Microsoft employees. And I know a couple that are doing like the documentation that side of it. But I think for folks that don't know this too, I mean, like I started as a SharePoint MVP, still a SharePoint Teams MVP, but that a lot of the SharePoint community was built. I say this all the time because the Microsoft documentation was so poor, and so the community stepped in to help each other. But now it's like the documentation is really good, especially with like the adoption website and but the resources that are out there. So a product will be, become generally available, go GA, and it will have all this documentation already there. Where historically, we'd have to help Microsoft, the community would have to create a lot of that content.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. It is bit. I was being bit negligent to say that. Okay, it was not really good. And back then, even when I used to use it, I used to try to give the inputs that okay, if this could be done in certain way, and it was quite a slow process. But now, when I see the tools, they're completely different. We have documentation for everything. There are community who is supporting for FAQs and everything. So that's really good to see. So
Yeah.
I basically am the Microsoft MVP for Azure integration tools. So basically, I use Azure Logic Apps, Event Grid, Service Bus, API management. So there are set of tools that I use in my workplace, and it has been a really nice journey. I got the opportunity again to do Azure certifications. So from last 2 years, I did almost 13 Azure related certifications that include DevOps and this. And I think one of the major shout out should be to the community because they have made it so easy for everybody to grasp it, be in terms of content. For example, even like I saw your content, it is really good, it is really inspiring. And one of the best thing that I find is that if I'm not restricted to just being an MVP or maybe just learning about iPass or maybe the tools that I'm using, not just Azure integration. If I want to expand to the other horizon, there is community who can help me with that. For example, if I
Right.
want to go with DevOps, it is not restrictive that okay, I have to just use set of tools or I can just be involved into this, but there is an horizon that if I want to explore more, there is a lot of good material, good
Yeah.
courses, and there are a lot of people who are making YouTube tutorials so that the community can build up even more. So that's really inspiring.
I love that too. And it's not just, I mean, it's now, I mean, we live in a world now where if you need to like fix something, whether it's your car or your food processor or your computer, I mean, there's YouTube videos like every
Mm,
on every topic and
yeah.
multiple things. Like
Mm,
like I had a really old car that I bought for my youngest son that had some problems, and I got help from a friend in South Africa that had similar issues, and I'm watching YouTube videos. He's pointing me to other videos of how to go in and do it, fix it myself,
mm,
that kind of stuff. Well,
mm,
in the Microsoft world, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, there's
mm,
still the YouTube videos and blog posts and
mm,
all the other things that are out there, but this is one of those things that I say like to fellow MVPs, like we're going to network, we're going to do that. But one of the reasons that we're MVPs is because we're approachable to anybody out there. If I'm writing articles about something, I love it when people reach out through social media or email directly. I don't like it when people call my phone. I never answer my phone. Uh, you know,
mm,
but I look at text messages. I look at from whatever apps that are out there. People reach out and say, "Hey, you wrote this. Are you aware of this? Or could I get your opinion on this?" Like happy
mm,
to connect with
mm,
people that way. So
yeah,
like anybody watching, I would say like if you are reading an article or see a video that Ruchi did, like that you
mm,
want to like collaborate on something or get an opinion on,
mm,
like reach out to
mm,
MVPs. That's
yeah.
what we do.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and even I think with the Microsoft MVP community, it's really helpful in that way. So, for example, even for me, I think it is even for all the MVPs, it is important that you might have a dream and you might need a lot of experience because sometimes people consider okay it is not a wrong motivation but definitely not torch bearer community that you just want to become an MVP so that it reflects good on your CV or maybe you just want to become so that you have an award on your shelf or something, but I think it is more than that and we do not specifically need to have that opinion okay I just want to become an MVP because it is good in that terms. The
Right.
community in itself is really helpful and even in my case when I reached out to people, luckily, there was a person I would like to especially give shout out to Hamid who nominated me. So that was really nice. And even he was so helpful. It feels that everybody is so occupied with their work and everything, but still, like they are more than happy if even I want to. If I, he works with a different area, but there are people who are in my areas. When I reach out to them, I'm having difficulty in let's say this particular tool. When I'm
Mhm.
using Azure Event Grid, there is a really tricky situation that I'm unable to get covered in the blogs, or maybe I'm unable to find a very relevant information. The community is there to help you. Even if the solution is not there, okay, let us find the ticket. Okay, let us just brainstorm it together. So in that way, the community is really intact and really helpful to each other. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
and I was just thinking too. It's like I think that yeah, I've interviewed a lot of Azure MVPs, but I think you're the first integration MVP, like in that
Mm,
specific category.
mm,
So we might have to have a conversation after this because that's more akin with my what I was doing 20 years ago. Worked in high tech manufacturing technology space. So again, collaboration technology, project and portfolio management, kind of all those tools. So a lot of the things, the pieces that are now software development lifecycle stuff that's in the DevOps space. We didn't have that phrase DevOps back
mm,
then. It was,
mm,
but anyway, it was uh so I've got some stories there of you know, of that world. But I would like to know, like, what are your contribution types? Like, so
Yeah.
you knew about the MVP program. You talked about the person who submitted your name, but
Yeah.
what are your primary contribution types? Are you
Yeah.
a writer, a video creator, a speaker?
Yeah. I have not covered almost all of it, but even as a tip, even what I got, that is, if I have to share that learning. So I had this dream of becoming it. It was back when I started using the Microsoft products, but again, I was not very much into it, so I did not create much of a content.
Hmm.
First, I started with giving the workshops. So when I got my certifications done, I started giving workshops in my office, outside my office, for the people who are willing to start their transition in career from non-tech to tech background. So that is how the journey started. And then I started feeling that okay, it is when I'm just giving the workshops to the people who are surrounding me, it is possible that more people would get help. Can be they can use more of it when I'm posting it in the form of blogs or videos. So I haven't started the video processing things, is still in the preliminary phase. But then I started doing the blogs and then conducting the workshops in office, outside office, and then started even giving feedback in the Microsoft, wherever I felt okay, this is a particular tool and we need to give the feedback. Started with GitHub, posting the libraries and everything. So
Hmm.
it is somewhere around everything that I did for the advocacies. Yeah.
It's just another example. I love to hear that because a lot of people get discouraged. They go in and they look at some very prolific writers, speakers. You know, there's some people that are just participating in book after book, and they're
Mm,
speaking at all these conferences around the world,
mm,
and it's
mm,
difficult to get into a lot of those conferences.
mm,
I used to do a lot more conference speaking than I do these days, but there's I mean, it takes all types, all different kinds of contributions. The point
mm.
is giving back to the community, finding
Community.
something that is like a you enjoy. It's part of the way that you work, and to
Yeah.
you know, the I love that the work out loud model of sharing what you're learning, sharing what you're
Yeah.
doing. That
Yeah.
opens you up to getting feedback and input and
Mm,
potentially improving the quality. It's like open sourcing your
mm,
own work and getting
yeah.
feedback on those, but it helps others in the community
Yeah.
to hear
Absolutely.
your voice, your perspective, and
Mm.
and go through your learning journey.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I completely agree with that, because even I had this perception in mind. I was trying to hold to not build content because there are already so many people building such an amazing content to see. Then you feel like, okay, what extra, or maybe what something new I need to add so that it has that value. What already people are, because they are amazing content. Whenever you see Microsoft MVPs posting content, it is such of an high quality over quantity. So even
yeah.
that really matters. So I was like, no, I need to do a very rigorous research that okay, what I'm going to do so that it somewhere outstands, it is beneficial for the community. And in that way, I absolutely agree. And even I think even when we going to conferences and speaking, that's really good, because it is not just about learning the content, because I may not, or we may not focus specifically on what I'm delivering, but when you sit there, you learn there is so much going on that maybe you're not able to get by just reading blogs, or maybe with content or something. So that is really inspiring to see that there are people working on so many different horizon that maybe would not come even if I have to sit and imagine, okay, what more could be done. And it is always great to communicate or meet the whole Microsoft MVPs group. So that's really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people it's like we are our own worst enemies as far as self-editing. Like, I really want to write this article on this, yeah, but I've read these others that are really good out there. It's like, yeah, but they don't have your perspective. They don't have your thoughts around that. Like I do a number of blog posts in a month where there are other expert articles that all the details, but then I try to just share like my perspective, my thought on it, summarize, point to those other leading resources, mention them. If you agree, if you disagree, or this is like the definitive piece, go read this, but here's a summary of it from my perspective. Like, that's all still valid, because there's plenty of people out there that might connect with you that might never connect with that person's style of writing or where it is there. And so it's about trust and
Perspective. Yeah.
community all in perspective, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I think
don't
this is
don't be
really
afraid.
insightful. Yeah, absolutely. This
Yeah,
is really insightful because even for me, I think it is really important to have the people. For example, like you said, really nicely that you said that people may have thought on the same topic, but again, the perspective might be different. What perspective you're viewing could be different from what how I'm viewing. And even
yeah,
not only that, even for example, for even growing our community, sometimes people are a bit hesitant to reach out to know, okay, exactly how is the process, what is required, and do we really need to do this? But I think it is really good that all the MVPs are really encouraging. They really want to help you.
yeah,
Even if you not don't reach out to them, they will just reach out to, okay, are you really interested? You're doing really great. So I've got that kind of encouragement from the community as well, because I was a bit hesitant that no, I don't know if I'll be eligible. It would be a sort of discouragement or something. And they're like, no, you are doing great. Just do this. And it is really good because
yeah,
it is not just a recognition that you're going to get. It is an opportunity that you get to learn more, not only for your career, but at the same time, you can give so much back to the community. And when you see that there is a lot of content that is created by people and how it has been beneficial for me, it could be beneficial vice versa, even to the people who are willing to join, who are willing to come to the community. So I think
yeah.
that is a really great thing. Absolutely.
There's a just to add to that. I mean, I love the well, a couple things. A word of advice for people that think, hey, I'm doing a lot of things. I'm doing more for the community. Three things I'd say. Like one, it's difficult for a lot of people to start capturing like what is a contribution, what counts towards this kind of thing, and just to start tracking that. It feels artificial. Like I don't like ringing my own bell about this kind of stuff. And so you just have to ignore that mindset. Just get in the habit of capturing, tracking what those things are. Because it is an award looking back at what you've done for the community over the past year.
Yeah.
um, the second thing is, as you said, like reach out, connect with people. It's about networking so that people are aware of the things that you're doing and the participation. The third thing I always tell people though is that there's nothing wrong with uh, uh, pursuing an MVP, like having a goal to become an MVP. But the reality is that the most people that pursue it never become an MVP. But
True.
if you're on that path, if you're doing things actively participating, you're going to get so much value towards your career, to your CV, the rest of that,
Yeah.
connections that you'll make. So personal, professional connections, that it's worthwhile for everybody
Mm.
to get involved more with the community.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have to become an MVP to
Mm.
benefit from participating in the community.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And even the point that you mentioned, that's really nice that those people who are just, that is what at least my assumption is, that when you're running just for the title, there are people who are not even selected. And that is also a realization to understand that it is not, it is always quality over quantity. No matter
Yeah,
you produce a lot of less content, that is fine. You're taking less workshops, even that is fine. You're not getting time to go to the conferences. Maybe not every office allow that, but it is fine. But if you have really good content and it has a good, automatically if you have good content, people reach, people see that content, people consume that content, it is then it is more beneficial. So yeah, rejections are also important, but at the same time, it is more important that you have the correct mindset, that you want to give back to the community, you want to learn from them, and go vice versa. Then I think the path becomes it just falls into place. It is not
yeah,
something that you feel like, okay, no, I need to submit, I need to write at least 2 blog posts every month. It doesn't feel like a work. Even for me, how it feels is that in my hobbies, so for example, when I'm done with my office and everything, this feels like, okay, I really want to do. It doesn't feel like, okay, no, I need to devote my time. For example, I might I like different hobbies. For example, when I came to Norway, it is more like, okay, I like to maintain the garden. I like to learn some of new cooking and everything. So similarly, it feels like when I'm creating the content, or when I'm writing the blogs, it feels more like, okay, it is something that I'm really looking forward to do. It is not something that I'm just doing, okay, so that I can renew my advocacy or maybe become an MVP this year. So I think when you have this correct mindset that you want to do a particular thing because it is beneficial to the community, beneficial to the people, I think it automatically you get that recognition. So that is a sort of a reward for the least that you can do for the
Yeah.
community. Absolutely.
Completely agree. Well, it's again, that's speaking to like the authenticity of like you. There has to be some degree of humility in this process too. I've met some people who are really good at what they're doing, but they'll be the first to tell you how good they are at what they do. It's like, yeah, that's not a community mindset for it. So having some humility, being on an authentic or being authentic in what you're creating, it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, it could be your learning journey. Um, I run with a group of friends. We do a bunch of AMA, ask me anything videos where we answer questions. And we have people that send sometimes very angry emails or post rude comments on there, like, you missed this. We're like, oh, okay, we missed a possible solution. It doesn't negate what we said. Not always. Occasionally, like we get something wrong, we will admit, like, here, we think this is how this will be resolved. But you've got to be a little more flexible and think community minded and be like, hey, here's another way that you could solve this. There are people that do nothing but go into the various message boards and Reddit or the Microsoft tech community and add to conversations and add their perspectives, and that all counts as well.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
great way to raise your profile.
Yeah, absolutely. And even contributing to that, and not just about this, having this restrictive, okay, I need to just maybe like put out blogs or something, even even like posting the comment, giving your feedback, even that is really beneficial, even when you're looking to the path of becoming that. And even like to address, I think it is a very common problem or common thing, because everybody can't be an expert of everything. So when you say, like, when you do your MA sessions and people reach out to you, I think it is really important to even understand the ground reality, that when we are doing this AMS and everything, we are trying to devote the time, and every time you may not come out with the perfect solution or maybe the most optimized solution or be exactly updated, but the point or in summary, what is the crux that we want to have is to give that back to the community, give a solution. It might have some pros and cons. Again, there could be something that has been it is changing drastically. It
Yep.
changes almost every day, so you can't keep an account of everything, every step that is uh, having the change or anything. Yeah.
Talking about the changes, what I love is, like, I had somebody that came back with like, this didn't work at all, and I was like, what are you talking about? And it was from a blog post that was like 6 or 7 years old. Like, you need to look at the dates on things too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got like 3 versions of that product since then. So yeah, that solution might not work anymore. Which was also just a reminder to me, I need to go and update that content to
Yeah.
the latest version of that. But
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say that, yeah, your content doesn't have to be perfect. I think Microsoft only expects like 97, 98% perfection.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that, I have a really funny story. So this was one of the solution that I shared on some there was somebody who posted on Reddit. They have this particular issue with its library. So I just shared, okay, this might be a much optimal solution rather than doing that. And then eventually somebody read it after almost an year or something, year and a half, and then there was some advancement, there was better solution, there were better APIs to do it directly. And even then people post a comment. So that sounds like really funny. Okay, I remember I posted a comment, but it was okay, it was a year and a half ago. Now we have done so many advancement, so it is a bit difficult to, we can have a track of that, we can get in the loop of that, but it is difficult to remember, okay, where I posted the comment, I need to even rewrite that as well. So I think, yeah, definitely.
Well, that's, hey, we just found a positive thing to the haters out there that write nasty comments. It remind us, oh yeah, I did make that comment 7 years ago. That is now no longer correct. I might want to go
Yeah.
update my comment there, but
Yeah.
thank you for pointing me to the link with your rude comment so I could go
Yeah.
update it. But
Totally.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
the joys of community.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Absolutely.
I really appreciate the time. If
Yeah.
for folks that wanted to reach out and connect with you, where are you
Yeah.
most active in social? Where can people find
Uh,
you?
Yeah, I think the best platform would be LinkedIn because that is mostly what I'm using. So the profile is dr-ruchi-yadav, or maybe just if you type Ruchi-Yadav, that is Oslo. You can find me there. You can drop me an email. Even that really works. Yeah. Except
Excellent.
calling, I think everything is good.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
no. It's no longer. In fact, I was even talking with my youngest son. I've got my older adult children, and I was just talking about. It's like, oh yeah, so I was gonna drop by and say hello. It's like no, Dad. It's like we don't even know if we could be there. It's like always text. Like
Yeah.
nobody calls anymore. Just text
Yeah.
first. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
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 Well, anyway, well,
Absolutely.
thanks so much for your time. Are you coming over for the MVP summit?
Yeah, I will be most probably joining there.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll see you on campus floating around
Yeah.
somewhere at some
Yeah,
point. But
that would be really wonderful. Yeah,
love to say
really
hello. All
wonderful.
right. Well, thanks a lot
Yeah.
for your
Thank you
time.
so much. Thank you so much, Christian, for having me. Looking forward to meeting you.